Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
And then we had the creeps, as I write about in my third book on the steel. The creeps come in and they start covering it up. And no group, well, look at me, FBI, no group was as corrupt as you. Nobody. I'm challenging you, FBI. This is Merrick Garland, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden's FBI and DOJ, Christopher Wray. You guys are liars, and you know it. You covered up for the crimes in 2020. And here's the bomb. I wrote a piece last night at joehoft.com saying, hey, get ready. We're going to drop a bomb on this show today. Here's the bomb. Our FBI is corrupt beyond belief, and they covered up massive crimes across the country, but especially in Georgia. They're complicit with these crimes. How can I say that? Because they came in and they allowed these lies to go forward. They did not investigate. They could not have investigated because the evidence is there. We have the evidence, FBI. We have the evidence of material crimes that were committed in Georgia after the election of 2020. Not only did we have video evidence that Rudy Giuliani released after the election, which from a professional auditor's perspective, I've done 200-300 audits around the world. I've presented to audit committees around the world. I've never seen anything so broken. If I would have walked into an audit committee and said, hey, we've got the evidence, it's right here on video, look at this, they would have said, fire those people right away. Fire them. And anybody who hired them, get rid of them. But our FBI stood up behind them and backed them up. And Joe Biden's giving these people awards. This is outrageous. Not only do we have video evidence, we have much, much more. So if something happens to me by this corrupt FBI, I want people to know we've got the evidence. We've got it. More than just video. We've got the evidence. We've got it. They know it. We've got it. We're going to drop this bomb piece by piece on these animals because we got it. Damn you, FBI, and damn you, DOJ, and damn you, Biden administration, and you criminals who stole this election, and Raffensperger and Kemp, all you guys, damn you for not standing up for the truth. We got the evidence. We got it. It's more.
We've had the evidence. We've had the evidence for 6 years. We got on this show and many other people got on their shows and we talked about all the evidence related to election fraud. That was Joe back in 2024 talking about the DOJ and the FBI. And, you know, I've had a weekend where I just wanted to get a little bit of sleep. I wanted to rest before the war starts again. And in 2024, 2023, 2022, 2021, we were clawing and fighting back in order to get President Trump in office. And I remember saying, if we could just get President Trump in office, if we could just get President Trump in office, if we get President Trump in office, all of our problems go away. And I should have known better. I should have known better. And I should have known that what we're dealing with right now is so deep-rooted that short of a revolution of good people, not this radical leftist and this stuff you have happening on the other side, but short of a revolution, I don't know if we can get past our own side that betrays us every day. And we keep looking at the Republican versus Democrat, I would just urge everyone to look at it as the people, the slaves, versus everyone else. They were Republicans in Arizona that betrayed us. They were Republicans in Colorado that brought us Dominion voting systems. There were Republicans in Michigan. There were Republicans in Utah and in Texas and in Nevada. And then, I mean, the list goes on. There were Republicans in Virginia. No matter where we turn, it takes Republicans that betray the very essence of what's good to get to the place where we are right now. And let's talk about where we are right now. We are 1 year and 3 months into President Trump's term. We are roughly, call it almost a third of the way there. We still have knowledge. We have all the information that shows that the elections were stolen and that these cartel organizations keep running it. Like we have it. The people at the top, they literally make the rules and break the rules. And in large part, all the things that we've done in order to uncover all of the fraud that exists has been swept largely under the rug by Republicans, not Democrats. We don't have the SAVE Act. We don't have voter ID. We have no representation in the United States of the people here. And we're told we have free and fair elections and that that everything's fine. Well, 85% of the people, the American people, want free and fair elections. They want the SAVE Act. And yet these people know that if that happens, they get nothing. So let's put up this. This is Thune's Senate blocks Trump to fund Secret Service, kills SAVE Act. Senate Republicans under John Thune are blocking 100+ Trump nominees, have refused to fund the Secret Service for 72 days despite a third assassination attempt on the president, and will not pass the SAVE Act despite 85% plus public support. America's at war. The Senate GOP conference has the tools to act and refuse to use a single one. He's a traitor. But he's not the only traitor. I mean, how many traitors do we have? We have it's theater. You think you have a democracy? Let's just go back in time here. You think let's just say let's relent on the constitutional republic, because it's obvious we don't have a constitutional republic that is actively working right now. Do we have a democracy? Just say that. Do we have a democracy? Have we had a democracy for the last, 5 presidents? The answer is no. When you have stolen elections and you have all this other stuff going on, it's not a functioning society. We went to war in Ukraine. Now we're in war in Iran. Now we have Israel going into Lebanon, and we're participating in the blowing up of people on a daily basis. Now, all that time, by the way, there's people in the United States that say, oh, Joe has violent rhetoric. He's talking about violence. We're literally killing women and children in other countries and saying it's not genocide. We wiped out nearly 400,000 people in Gaza. And you want to talk to me about violent rhetoric. Okay. Got it. You don't want to talk about the fact that we're at war right now and that you're a slave. I got it. You don't want to speak the truth. We don't want Joe to speak the truth. God forbid we actually tell the truth for once in our forsaken lives. So let's just walk through it real quick. We don't own our homes. We don't own our cars. We have flock cameras on every corner. Now you have car companies that are getting patents so they can watch your every move inside of your car. Just imagine being a person. So human nature is that you want to have peace, that you want to be left alone, be able to hang out with yourself, but you don't even get to do that. They're taking all the meat off the bone and expecting you to just deal with it. So let's walk through the appointments first on Thune. As of late April 2026, there are 34 Article 3 vacancies in the federal courts. So basically, judges. Under Article 3, we have U.S. District Courts. We have 34 vacancies. U.S. Court of International Trade, we have 1 vacancy. We have no vacancies on the U.S. Courts of Appeal and none on the U.S. Supreme Court. So what they're trying to do is keep the radical judges, the ones that have destroyed everything about this country, in those positions. And they're not trying to even it out or let President Trump fill those vacancies. Pending nominees are currently 10 nominees pending before the Senate to fill those slots. Upcoming vacancies, there's at least 10 additional future vacancies already announced where judges have declared their intent to retire or take senior status later this year, which will provide further appointment opportunities. Since taking office in January 2025, the administration has already secured the confirmation of 34 federal judges. As of the start of this month, we have 2 different versions of reality. That's because the siege of what I call the siege of Psyche is going on today. Through the media, online influencers, indoctrination, we're in a mental war. And frankly, we have a bunch of just really whacked out people. That frankly are living in their own little world. So speaking of deranged, mentally incompetent, trashy people, I got served with a lawsuit by a person named Sharona Bishop, Neil and Sharona Bishop. And these people, oh my gosh, can we start with this? Let's put this up real quick. For those of you who don't know, Sharona Bishop is America's mom. She calls herself America's mom. Matter of fact, she said that she has international presence. She's everywhere. So she filed a lawsuit against me and for defamation. Now, the entire case that she actually launched was defamatory. And she talked about the fact that I've called people names. Yeah, I've called people names. And that I've called for the hanging of people. Well, actually, what I called for is people be tried for treason, and when found guilty, they to be hung, because that's the punishment for death, is the punishment for treason. But she goes in and uses all the leftist tactics. Now, the reason why she did this had nothing to do with reality for Sharona and Neil Bishop. It had everything to do with, how do you stay relevant? How do you become relevant? Now, the problem with filing a case like this, now they did this pro se. So they filed a let me say, they filed a pro se case in Texas, pro se, alleging defamation, but they didn't hire an attorney. Well, do you think I hired an attorney? Yeah, I did. I hired an attorney. And it took about 15 minutes after I put this up, because the whole concept behind this defamation case, which is, again, more fluff on, here's what I've said. Sharona Bishop is a grifting piece of garbage. I stand by that. Sharona Bishop is a liar. Sharona Bishop is trash. Sharona Bishop is, I believe, a Fed. Now, she wrote me actual text messages telling me that one of her friends was actually Gray Man. You know what Gray Man is? It's a Fed. Telling me, as if somewhere along the line I'm supposed to know what Gray Man is. And then told me that it's like an inside deal, that they have somebody inside the. So she admitted that she's a Fed. And then she comes out and says somewhere along the line that I'm not a Fed. She's a Fed. Informant, whatever you want to call it. Okay. She's on somebody's payroll. Okay. But beyond that, the reason why Tina Peters is in prison is because, in large part, Sharona Bishop. This whole idea of concocting, bringing somebody in from the outside and faking an ID and having these relationships with everyone else. Sharona is in the middle of everything that goes wrong. Sharona is always right there. It's the most obscene thing I've ever seen in my life. Now, she calls herself the America's mom. She's like, and by the way, I just want you all to know that she's a makeup artist. That's what she is. A makeup artist that never graduated, I don't think, from high school. That's who Sharona Bishop is. And Neil, don't even care about him. I've only had 2 conversations online, smacking him around. And I think I said he was a Fed, working with the Feds. And you know what? That's not illegal. It's not illegal to say you're working with the feds. And by the way, is it so bad that you'd be working for the feds? Because then you're actually telling us something. Anyway, they filed this case in Texas attacking me. And this is the best part. This is the best part. For $3 million. They filed a pro se case that, frankly, is just a bunch of jarbled mess that's going to get them in a lot of trouble. It's going to get them in a lot of trouble for two reasons. One of which is you're probably going to put yourself in a really bad position because you're going to have to pay my attorney fees, right? Filing a frivolous deal such as this, where you actually went out and attacked me, and therefore, and by the way, I'm just going to drag everybody into it. So I'm going to bring Mike Lindell into it. I got this other Jan Wiepert that sent an email to someone that I do business with at one of my companies, trying to get them not to do business with me. I'm going to drag that person into it. I'm going to drag everyone into it, file a secondary lawsuit, a countersuit, and have a lot of fun. I'm going to have a lot of fun doing this. But what's interesting in all this, yeah, they want $3 million. She wrote it. It was written with Chat GPT. I don't know. Two retards wrote this. Two retards that probably never didn't go to, doesn't have a clue. So I just want you to know that, look, if I'm going to fight one case all the way to the bitter end, and I already beat another one and got a bunch of attorney's fees for that one, for the defamation case that was a bunch of BS about the transgender, whatever you want to call it. But see, that's not the goal for Sharona. See, the goal for Sharona and Neil is, how do we defame Joe Oltmann in such a way that we can actually do harm to his ability to get in and help the Republican Party? This is how you know that people are actively doing things to destroy the people's voice, giving the people the ability to rebuild what in Colorado he can only be described as non-existent. Like, the Republican Party in Colorado is broken. But the idea is that I was at a event for a debate for the state chair, and their goal was to have me served at the debate, and then they filed a press release. Now, I'm going to drag whoever brings up the press release into it too. So I'm going to I got lawsuits pending everywhere. I got the ADL lawsuit with 9 News now. That's going to be a really fun one when they get served, Kyle Clark and all that. And now I got this case where you have a piece of garbage that, frankly, is a piece of garbage, who is suing me pro se with her husband pro se. And they went to have me served because they had one of the people that's also running for state chair on a podcast and tried to promote that person, and then said, "Oh, I got a great idea. Let's use this as a way to slander and defame Joe Oltmann just before he gets on the stage to talk about and debate." Well, it didn't work out that way. I mean, he ended up serving me afterwards, and the guy was super nice. And I just went and sent it to my attorney and said, "Hey, tell me what you think." And he started laughing. He's like, what they did with this Jan Wiepert person is even worse, because they used a secondary person in order to defame me and cost me a contract with somebody else. So they were providing information to each other about that in order to create adverse harm. Well, that harmed my business to the tune of probably $200,000 in net profit a year. So 10-year relationships, about $2 million in real damages that I can prove in just that one deal. Now, the guy was super nice and sent me the emails and said, "I don't want anything to do with this drama, but I figured you'd want to see this." And at that point, I was like, "Oh, all right, no problem. I take it as it is." And I got to step out. My point is this: our entire side of the fence, the Republicans, they're not Republicans. You got a bunch of retarded people acting like they're Republicans, when in actuality, they're just radical leftists that are over here to create havoc. To create as much havoc as possible. Now, that havoc has caused Tina Peters to be in prison. It's caused us to basically lose ground in every specific area. Talk about space beams and, PCAPs and all this other stuff that doesn't exist. And now we're sitting here going, we had all the information 6 years ago, and here we are still sitting here. There you go. That's it. So this is where we are right now. And I'm going to have so much fun with this. I'll giving you guys an update every few days on the retard Sharona Bishop and her retarded husband. Here, let me show you something else. This is Harmeet Dillon talking about wanting access to the 2024 Michigan ballots. Now, they've already done this dog and pony show before. We've already had the information. It's just taking them forever to get it done. But let's go ahead and play this.
And you want the ballots from the November 2024 federal election in Wayne County. Talk to us about how Gretchen Whitmer has any legal authority to prevent you from seeing these records, Harmeet.
The idea that anybody like Gretchen Whitmer can talk with a straight face about weaponizing the Department of Justice after the revelations that we've seen out of this Department of Justice in recent weeks is really laughable. But that be that as it may, just looking at the logistics here, she sent this letter, the Attorney General of Michigan, a lot of bombast, posturing, and hand waving. But that's a distraction from the fact that she doesn't seem to actually have a client here. It's not clear that she's representing Wayne County. And we have a right to get these records from Wayne County. And our citations in our complaint, our letter complaining about why we need this, include at least three instances of improper voting conduct in that jurisdiction from the 2020 election, as well as alleged improprieties that I think I and other election lawyers identified very clearly in prior elections, including the 2020 election, where in Michigan, observers who are entitled to observe by law were barred from doing so. And so we intend to get these records, and we intend to get to the bottom of what's going on with these sloppy record keeping and inconsistent procedures in these states. Because what happens when you have these types of loosey-goosey procedures is people lose confidence in the outcome of elections, and then they don't vote. That's a bipartisan problem, and we need to put a stop to it.
We know what Dominion's done. We know who's responsible for it. We know the people that are responsible for it. We know that Eric bragged about it. It's not just a coincidence that Eric Coomer is talking about, hey, don't worry about it. Trump's not going to win. I made sure of it. He's the chief architect. If you go all the way back to 2005, and he's the one single person that's been there through the entire thing. He's also a guy that would be a felon, but somebody stepped in and got him off of that case in California. And then evidently right on the heels of being a heroin addict, he gets the job running 17 states in the District of Columbia. That's Eric Coomer. But yeah, that's the person you would hire to come in and run elections. No, that's not the person they want to hire to run elections. That's the person you hire to steal elections. Here's we look, this fraud has real consequences that leads to violence. Only that violence is only one-sided. Over the weekend, obviously, at the Correspondents Dinner, there was a guy that decided he wanted to try and kill President Trump. The fact that he got as far as he did is weird. The fact that he knew when President Trump would be in that room is even weirder, which means someone on the inside had to be giving him some information. Well, we'll just call it another coincidence. But here's President Trump released security cam footage of Cole Thomas Allen. Let's go and play it.
It looked like he checked it twice.
Lieutenant Hudson, you monitoring this area?
Here it comes up. Obviously. Shall I post it as soon as he passes down that?
18, go for
That was him running through the security. First of all, that's not how security is supposed to work. You're not supposed to be able to run just clear shot all the way through. And the fact that this has happened shows that there's a clear breakdown. That the Secret Service, someone needs to send the whole place back to school. And here is, I want you to meet the terrorist. This is Cole Thomas Allen. Let's go ahead and show the picture. He's a radical leftist teacher in California. By now, you've probably already seen him. But this is the guy that went to assassinate President Trump. More importantly, he actually filled out a manifesto. So now everyone has a manifesto. Everyone's going to go try and kill President Trump, and everyone's going to have a manifesto. And these are the same people that feel like that they have the moral authority to kill our families. And what's more disgusting is that there were hundreds of people around the country that were posting stuff online and getting people to like it, saying that, oh, I'm not giving you free beer. No more free beer. Here's a brewery in Minnequaw Brewing Company in Wisconsin upset that Donald Trump didn't get assassinated tonight. It's owned by a guy named Kirk Bangstead. Let's take a look at this for a minute. He puts up, well, we almost got free beer day. Either a brother or sister in the Renaissance needs to work on their marksmanship, or he faked another assassination to get a positive news cycle. We'll never know. Regardless, we stand by our ready to pour free beer the day it happens. This guy. He's a Democrat who ran for the Wisconsin State Assembly. He founded a super PAC, millions to support radical leftists. By the way, they all own restaurants. So funneling money through restaurants is really, really easy, it appears. This is the guy. This is what we're up against. Well, I gotta tell you, it's we're at that place right now where we let them pick us off one by one. We watch. We're tired. So I decided we're gonna have a doctor on. He's going to talk to us a little bit about some of the stuff that's going on. He previously worked for the World Health Organization and with the Infectious Disease Society of America. He's a prominent critic of the lockdowns, school closures, vaccine mandates. And we're going to talk about some stuff because he has some stuff in his Substack that talks about CIA's MKUltra. And I really, really, really am interested in his take on this here. So, Dr. Paul Alexander, welcome to the show. He's not in yet. What time is he supposed to be in? All right. All right. Well, we're going to skip past that then, can we? I should have probably looked before I said that. I went on a little bit extra. Okay, we don't have him in yet. Let's talk about something else, if we can. We're going to skip past and go. Well, I'm going to take a commercial break so I can at least reset and come into the last part that I want to talk to you about. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the people that have supported shooting Charlie, shooting at the president, and that these are the people that think they're the moral authority. And frankly, I've had enough, and I think you have too. We'll be right back.
Oh, hi. I almost didn't see you there. Welcome to DCF Buns, where you can find the freshest buns in town, if I do say so myself. Oh, our master bakers teach class every week. So whether you're new to baking or trying to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered. And we can help you bake the cake of your dreams. We'll even clean your cake if you want. And if you don't want to bake anything yourself, we have loads of fresh buns available in a variety of shapes and sizes. Check us out at dcfbuns.com to learn more. DCF Buns, we keep the buns hot and the deals hotter. Buns.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
So a school teacher in California is the one that took a shot at Donald there. We'll have that school teacher's legal GoFundMe account here soon. I'm sure it'll hit 10 million and we'll get Luigi's team on it.
I guess he's 31 years old too, so.
31-year-old school teacher.
That's what my chap said.
I'm going to guess that he had students that were affected personally by the atrocities committed underneath that piece of shit. So much pain. And that there would be an anger build in this country to the level that people every couple months are using that fat orange bastard as target practice should not come to any surprise. When you treat other people as disposable, the world will see your fucking life as disposable. That is the natural consequence. And if you smell bird shit right now, that's them birdies coming home to roost. Tick-tock, bitches. Your time is coming up.
We had to make sure that those studs were
Tick-tock. Your time is short.
I don't know what to say. They're always the cowards, right? These are always the cowards that hide behind people and say that somewhere along the line that we're the ones that don't have compassion. When is it going to stop? Here's my problem, and let me work the problem with me. If you have the left, which is willing to do harm to you, and they own the judiciary, and we don't stand up and gut the judiciary completely out because it's completely rotted. The judges are not judges. These people are hired henchmen that put criminals back on the street, and they do so in order to create chaos. And these are the people. And now that you have AI, I'm going to encourage you all to do something. Okay, I'm going to encourage you to take the final verdict, so to speak, from a judge. Just go on Pacer if you can. Grab cases, watch the case from beginning to end. And this could be anything from a bankruptcy case to just check it. And then put it into ChatGPT or Grok. And then ask it to follow the case. You can load in the stuff to the case. And then ask it if the judge got it right. Well, I can already tell you that I've already done this probably 100 times, and whether or not they misquoted the law. And they did. They misquoted the law in every case. So it's not just the judges that are making decisions based on violating the law, but you have DAs that are writing bunk motions that are then being not really being addressed, because then you have this thing called sua sponte, and then the judge goes in and says, "Oh, we'll just give them a free pass," but they don't get free pass if it's a Republican. And it's as if they have access to that information because they try to ruin anyone's life that comes before them that does not align with them politically. I'm not kidding. Go do it yourself. Dude, I just want you to go do it. And you will see how rotted the judiciary is. And when you find one judge that does get it right over and over again, they've been in the position for 15, 16, 17 years. They've been in the position for quite some time. And then as they get cycled out and somebody else comes into that position and handles maybe the same case, you'll see the case gets handled differently. We're in a rotted position in our country right now. So I'm going to put this up. This is Charlie. This is a Libs of TikTok. Put this up. This is Charlie's post. And let's go and put it up. It says assassination culture is spreading. I don't know why you can't read it. You guys are going to have to figure out how to make it so you can read these posts. Assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% said at least the same about Donald Trump. California activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangoni. The left has been whipped into a violent frenzy. Any setback, whether losing an election or losing a court case, justifies a maximally violent response. This is the natural outgrowth of left-wing protest culture, tolerating violence and mayhem for years on end. The cowardice of the local prosecutors and school officials have turned the left into a ticking time bomb. I would say that right there kind of epitomizes what we're dealing with on the left. All right. So we do have the doctor who is in here with us, Dr. Paul Alexander. We're going to talk through what we're dealing with, especially as it relates to whether or not I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist and talk about the fact that it could be MK Ultra, because that's a whole lot of MK Ultras. But could it be true? Could it be true? Dr. Paul Alexander, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? Can you
Good.
hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm a little delayed. Family issue happened, but I tried and you guys are still on. So if we can still do the show, well, then
Yeah,
let's go ahead.
we're live right now. So we are live.
Okay, great.
Give everyone a little bit of your background, if you would.
Well, I mean, my background in terms of education, I did my background training in public health, epidemiology, infectious diseases, evidence-based medicine. My academics is in the UFT in Canada, Toronto Graduate School. I did a little work at Johns Hopkins, and I went on to Oxford, back to McMaster. And with that background, my work experience has been in the field of public health internationally. So I worked overseas for the government of Canada, in India and Pakistan, for disease control, infectious diseases like tuberculosis, etc. Then I was working at the World Health Organization, which I think is more germane to your audience too, in the sense of as a consultant for pandemics, etc. And then COVID reared its head, 2019, 2020, and the Trump administration had reached out at that point for me to come to DC to work as a senior advisor at HHS.
Did you get a chance to work with Fauci? Did you get a chance to work with Fauci?
Actually, well, yes. Well, so the same position that Kennedy has today is what Azar had back then. I was senior advisor to both Azar and Caputo. So, in other words, if I was there today, I'd be advising Kennedy in Kennedy's office. Yes, Fauci, Birx, Redfield, Hahn, they all had offices at HHS.
Is he Dr. Death?
Yeah, well, it's quite an interesting character, and a lot of what is in the media is basically what it is, in the sense that most of these people are highly incompetent. They got to where they got to because of years in the service, but not really out of real ability. It's a very political, at that level, everything is just really politics. It's who you know.
Well, doctor,
so that's why
I got to tell you, most people that I've met in government are semi-retarded, right? No matter what what degrees they have, they seem to be highly incompetent, and that's led us to this place where we're at right now, where the government is basically it's in utter chaos, turmoil.
Yeah, right now I would say that, and I would say that I support. I mean, I'll just tell you, I support President Trump. I mean, I worked for him first term. I stood against the lockdowns and the vaccine, etc. in shop. I helped re-elect him in the second term. We did a lot of work on the floor in all of the Rust Belt swing states, getting all the Christian vote, all different votes. I'm not happy with a lot of the policies. And
well, let's talk about those real quick, because I don't want to talk about how that's led to everything else. What policies do you not like? Probably the same policies I don't like, but
well, I mean, I continue to be against the situation with COVID and how that was handled, and the vaccine, etc. That they have not done what we assumed they were going to, what they said they were going to do, which was to remove it from market, because it was proven to be ineffective and actually harmful. So that's a huge disappointment, especially with who we've placed at the health agencies, and they've not fallen through. So it's almost as though we are going to have the mRNA vaccine transition, all of the other vaccines, and we're going to have it for keeps. And actually, we supported Robert Kennedy Jr. from what he said during his own presidential election, his own campaign, but they have acted completely opposite. So something has happened in the sense of, I have argued, and I'll say it in raw, that their silence have been bought. Something they've gotten in return for them to be silent on the mRNA vaccine, knowing how harmful it is. So that is one major issue. I'm very, very disappointed with how the Epstein issue have been dealt with. I think there's a lot of fire to the smoke. I think there's a lot of issues. A lot of the big people in government, in Congress and Senate, judges, senior people, rich people.
Yeah, Doc, let's look at this. The Epstein file has been around since 2011. And since 2011, there's been stacks and stacks of information, now over 3 million points of information that have been released to the public, highly redacted, but a lot of information released to the public. Why is it there hasn't been an appetite? I mean, you have the Biden administration and you have the Democrats that are saying it's Trump's fault, but they had 4 years in order to release it. They didn't release it. President Trump came in. It's an absolute boondoggle of a mess. Nobody can even tell whether or not the information is real or not real, whether or not the chain of custody across the board was absolutely atrocious. And so he has to feel his way through it. You have somebody that's sort of inept in Pam Bondi, absolutely not capable of doing the job that she was in. I mean, he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. If he doesn't release it, it's a problem. If he releases it, he's got to figure out what the backlash is for the people that are in it. But most of the people that are in it have been redacted anyway.
Yeah. So I think that this is a very interesting situation. I think we don't know. Maybe Trump wants it out.
Yeah.
And I'm explaining it this way. Maybe he wants it out, and there are forces at play have to keep it hidden. Maybe he doesn't want it out. And I believe there's a lot of discussion that a lot of people, I mean, we already know that there are people like Howard Lutnick, RFK Jr. These people are in his administration who have dealt with Epstein in different ways. And everybody's coming out today trying to say that, well, I went in his jet, or I went by his place, but I only went to have lunch, or I only went to discuss XYZ. But we don't buy that, because they all dealt with him after he did even jail time. They knew he was a sex offender. They knew what he was about. So they all, I think they all have exposure. And I think that the administration has done everything it can to cover it up and stall and delay. And Pam Bondi has done a devastating job. So has Patel at FBI, both of them. I think both of them should have been fired, not just Pam Bondi, Patel.
Thank you very much. Say it louder. Say it louder for the people in the back of the room. I mean, Kash Patel I call him Kardashian Patel.
I think he's a clown. I think, listen, again, I will reel it back by saying that you could support someone, you could love someone even, but you could still have serious concerns and reservations by their behavior. So you could have a child that you could love terribly, extensively, like with all your heart, but if your child does something wrong,
you're
a proper parent. Yeah, you have to be able to school them and implement punishment and do whatever to make sure that they don't get in trouble again and they don't do wrong that could hurt them and hurt other people. I think then that, so I could say that I support President Trump, I like President Trump, I work for President Trump, but I still have serious concerns with a lot of his decision-making, his policies, his cabinet. I mean, it's clear it was just based on his version of loyalty. And while we thought that term one, his government, the cabinet picks, remember he fired most of everyone in term one, and he went through a whole drama. Chief of staff, everyone was fired. Tillerson, John Kelly, everyone at different points, Scaramucci, everybody. So he has a problem with human resources. I don't think he's this great I've come again. I'm saying I support him, but I could say I think he's devastating. He has no competence in terms of hiring the right people. He showed that in term one, and he showed that now. Right. So,
let's talk about that for a minute, because in government, it's a swampy little thing, and every time he tries to put people in positions of trust and authority, there's not a lot of competence that wants to be in government. Would you agree? I mean, there's not a lot of competent people. I mean, it's like scraping the bottom of the barrel, and he came and got you and said, "Hey, I need your help." And then let's just be honest, how many incompetent people did you work with? It's probably a lot.
How many competent people I worked with at the HHS?
Incompetent people that were just
incompetent. Well, maybe all. I probably found 2 competent people at the HHS, to be quite honest with you.
So look at that. It's filled with retards. Let's call them what they are.
Yeah. And the thing is, the people in government who really do a lot of the work of the law, the more clerical level, even below middle management level, the higher people get their positions based on favoritism and nepotism and coffee and all that kind of crap. They don't get it based on their ability. So it's a terrible situation. And COVID demonstrated that to us. Trump set up a task force with the heads of the 5 or 6 agencies, the actual top level person, directors, all of them, of each agency, HHS, NIH, NIAID, FDA, all. And CDC, and all of them were incompetent, all. Same in Biden, same in Trump now. So, what are we, the American people, to do? And so I think right now we're seeing it. We're seeing it with this, how the Epstein thing have been dealt with.
Well, what about Iran? What about Iran, Ukraine? It feels like the wheels are coming off the bus everywhere we turn, right? There's just unfinished business. And then you have John Thune that's standing in the way of the SAVE Act, stopping presidential appointments, over 100 of them that are just sitting in the wings. I mean, it feels like that the president is being hamstrung at every turn in order to get the American people's what they said they wanted across the finish line. Not one arrest.
Well, that's it. Yeah, well, you see, that's the thing, only when you get there and you see on the inside of the beast, you realize that the president has power, but the president's power is really limited by the deep state. The deep state is real.
It's very real.
It's an administrative deep state, a bureaucratic deep state that they have their tentacles, both Republican and Democrat, deep inside the government. And like I've explained, I went to Trump Hotel while at DC. He had invited a group of us from HHS. There was some issue and it was kind of favorable, so he wanted us to come and take a drink. So he invited us to the hotel, so we went. And I remember I met a bunch of different people, bigger people even though I worked with all of them. I got a chance to drink and talk and take a drink and talk. And there was this guy from the State Department, and we were talking. I realized he's a Democrat, but somehow or the other, he was within Trump's orbit. And he told me something that surprised me. He said, the president really doesn't really have power. And I was trying to explain to him, well, why would you say that? The president is the top executive, and all of the powers delegated from the president down through all of the agencies, all of his hires, etc. And he told me, well, no, for example, he's in the State Department. He's been there for about 28, 30 years. And he said, we run the government. We run things. The president of the United States, and Trump is just visiting here. He will be gone, and yes. And we make these decisions, and what happens, we decide. When I was at the HHS, I found that out myself firsthand, that we were in COVID. And they told me and my boss, my director, plainly to our face that we're not going to help you all do anything. You all work for Trump. These were all Democrats at the Health and Human Services building. And they said, we will not even help you move a pen. We will not even give you the code to the printer that you need to print to do your work. They did everything to sabotage us. And I realized what it really meant at that level too. That Trump really was a a government of one. In his term one, he was really fighting an entire government because even the Republicans around him were subverting him. So, and today, I think what happened in term two is he learned from term one, and he learned especially with all of the J6 and all of that, how a lot of them bailed on him, etc. So I think he felt betrayed, and he felt in this term too that he's going to go with pure loyalty now, pure loyalty. And you had these people in all these different parts of the United States who they're always in the media sucking up to him. So I think he probably confused loyalty with some modicum of ability. But here he probably have loyal people now, but I don't even think they're loyal to him. They're loyal to themselves. And the first opportunity to hurt him, they would. And you see it now with the incompetence that a lot of things that he wants to advance and that he stood for, we're not getting. And it's almost as though many people now are asking, what did we elect President Trump for? A lot of things that, I mean, we have this issue with the Iran war. I mean, it's a, I mean, sometimes I like to do my homework. I apologize. I did not read up extensively on all your positions.
No.
So
I don't want you to take my position. I want to hear your position. The whole idea of this is that we look. I agree with what you're saying. That's why I'm letting you talk. Because if I didn't, I'd be arguing with you. And I don't think people understand just how deep it is. And they think, oh, there is no deep state. They try to just dismiss it. President Trump says that the elections are stolen. The elections are largely stolen across the entire country in all 50 states. And you have the Congress that stands up and does their dog and pony show, but nothing ever gets done. And unless it favors them. In other words, it was very easy to arrest 800 people at the Capitol on J6 and to call it an insurrection and to put them inside the gulag and have them be raped and hurt and done. They did horrible things. Horrible things to those people. And now we're in the second term. A lot of us have been fighting for a long time. We've had an immense amount of loyalty to President Trump, but nothing's getting done.
No,
let's be honest. Nothing's getting done.
Nothing is getting done, and it has people dismayed because people put a lot of effort behind him and expended. Many people spent a lot of money too, their own personal money and their time. And,
yeah, I did.
Yeah. So your show, your platform, bringing people on to share information and educate the public. The truth of the matter is that some of the things are being done right now. We just, it makes no sense. I am for the United States first. I'm for the flag. I'm for the Constitution and the president and the military. I'm for all of those things. But when I see what happened here with the war with Iran, I've been on paper. I've been speaking. I've said it plainly that I as one person, I cannot agree with it because it really is not in America's interest the way, first of all, we have been told. And second of all, I just looking at it from a factual point of view, America was not attacked.
No.
We weren't, based on even the military people at the highest level saying we were not in imminent threat. Our intel said that they posed, even today, even at the height before we bombed them, we did a lot of damage to Iran now. We have. But we've not obliterated them as Trump and they are saying. No. But we've damaged them. We've degraded them. But even at their height, they could not hurt America. That's the point. They couldn't hit America, So that's the point that I'm trying to make, And I think we made a serious mistake. We made a serious mistake joining that war. I don't think that was our fever to sweat for. I'll say it that way. It's like other people using our shoulders to fire their gun. And at the end of it now, we've lost 15 soldiers, some say more. We've lost military assets. And we dealing with a serious situation now where everything that we said with the objectives, we've not accomplished. You know, we said that we're going to change regime. First of all, my view is that's their business. And let the Iranian people handle their business and change the regime, don't change the regime. Our role of America on this side of the world was we strengthen ourselves and we defend ourselves. You come and interfere with us, we will vaporize you. But I am not in the point of view that we go all over the place interfering with people and getting involved in their political issues.
Yeah.
So I think, sorry.
So let me ask you a few questions related to this, right? So you're working in the HHS, you can see all the stuff that's happening right now. You go through the Biden. Obviously, they probably pulled you out as soon as Biden went in, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. When Biden, it was kind of interesting. You asked a question. I'll just say it quickly. The Woodcock, who was the FDA commissioner at that point, she had reached out to me and we spoke. And she said, would you be interested? And I said, yeah, I would serve under Biden. I'm serving the United States and HHS. So yeah, I support President Trump, but I would serve President Biden. I'm a scientist, right? First. And send me your resume and stuff, and we would move it further. And this is at the highest levels because this is back at now it's in FDA as an advisor, and but nothing came of it. And I chuckled to myself. I knew even if she wanted to under Biden, it wasn't going to go nowhere. Why would they want you there?
Right.
Listen, what the public didn't understand is when Biden and they came into power, they spent the first 6 months to 1 year hunting down, coming after all of us who worked for President Trump in the White House or agencies like HHS. I mean, the Congress, led by the Democrats at that point, the Democrats had control. They were writing us, texting us, emailing us, threatening us. I got many, many, many communications from the House, the Congress, telling me they want me to come to Washington for congressional hearings. And I wasn't responding initially because it was just letters. And then they started to tell me, we're going to subpoena you. So then I had to get the senior lawyers in Washington. Well, they knew. They reached out to me and said, we know what's happening. So we're going to take it from here and manage you. And if they do subpoena you, you have to answer a subpoena. Yeah. And we will then represent you at the highest levels because they want you to come into Washington and they want to drill you and make you make an administrative type of mistake in a conversation and charge you with some kind of process crime so that then they could bust your balls and squeeze your nuts so you could tell them, make up anything about President Trump. They only want Trump. They're not interested in you, Paul. They're not interested in none of these people. They just want to destroy Trump, but they will hurt you to do it. So I could tell you I spent the first 2 years of the Biden administration. It was petrifying at times because I was getting congressional letters constantly, but they never took it to the level of subpoena. They knew that the House on the Republican side were in the game too, on my side waiting. They were going to represent me and take me to Washington to deal with a subpoena. Now, I had nothing else to say about Trump. I'm just a scientist. I wasn't going to say any. In our office, we did nothing nefarious or anything. We're scientists doing the job. But it is a scary thing. When the state decides to come after you, they will come after you. And so I went through it too, and it was tough. And but
yeah, this is what I don't think people understand is that the long arms of this deep state, it's not a deep state. It's a crime family. Like the crime family has taken over Washington, has taken over our government, and that's moved into now state crime families. And so we have crime families on both sides, and you can't ever get through it. Well, let me ask you a question about what happened with the shooter, right? You basically the Trump derangement syndrome is basically a target, and This group of people inside of our government is targeting good people. Now, the bad part is that they're using good people in order to, as a shield for them as well. So they're getting away with crimes and stopping good people like me, like you, from wanting to fight back, because then they just have those people arrested and then put them in front of their judiciary that's all rotted to the core, and the judges on their side too, right? So there's literally no reprieve. We just saw a shooter that went in and got treated with kid gloves. And you just put up a Substack that raised the possibility that it could have raised something related to the CIA's MKUltra, or have it so that it was staged and that they compromised the event, just to make it look. I don't even know. I don't even know how the shooter got that far through. But I mean, are you saying that this is an inside job?
I'm not saying that it is not. I am, like, the way I've decided to take, we're trying to pivot Substack away from this pure COVID stuff, because it's not we're getting nowhere, but they have as important or very important issues we're dealing with, right?
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is, first of all, how did that person get there? Who supported him? We have some people put out some communications today. They published some stuff showing this guy in Israeli military uniform or T-shirt and all sorts of stuff supporting. That's his prerogative and all of that, but it raises a lot of questions as to how did this happen? What is the aim? Was it really an assassination attempt? Was it just that his job was to go in there and fire some shots because he didn't shoot anybody?
No, and he clearly said that he wasn't going to try and shoot someone. I mean, he created a manifesto, and that manifesto drew out the fact that he said who his targets were beforehand.
Yeah. So the question is, right now in the middle of this Iran situation, is it that President Trump behind the scenes is beginning to not waffle, but wobble in the Iran bombing, meaning that he is probably assessing the landscape properly now and differently, and seeing the damage that's being done to us too, the world's economy, etc., and that maybe he is trying to figure out how to get out. Maybe the powers that be, that from my point of view, that got President Trump to join in and to bomb, maybe they have larger forces than President Trump, so powerful that he have no choice. He has to keep bombing. It's a crazy conversation to have, but it's almost like we're watching our government being overtaken by forces and they have no control over it, and they can't do anything about it.
Well, courage is the thing that stops it, right? So you have to have courage, and you got to stand up for what's right, and regardless of the consequences, and other people will stand up too. But the government is so filled with people who are just cowards that don't know how to stand up and that don't know how to fight against this evil, that it's almost impossible to see the bottom of it, because you just said poor choices. I mean, look, I've been talking a lot about the fact that I can love my brothers and sisters from every country and every culture. I can love Christians. I can love Jews. I can love Muslims. I can love those people, period. And still say that if there's a group that's acting like a cabal, I call them the synagogue of Satan, when it comes to the Jews that are evil, that hide behind other Jews and say, you can't talk about me, otherwise you're an anti-Semite. I think if we don't start separating those people, sooner or later, we're going to go to war, right? And then it's going to be everyone that is under that moniker has got to go, right? Same thing that happened in World War II. Same thing will happen. You go back to the Roman Empire. You go back to the Ottoman Empire. Same thing happened there. They did the same thing. There's no difference.
I understand what you're saying, and the challenge for us here is that we come across as general population people, that we just part of society. But you see, the population, the American people are very smart, and
Yes.
they're critical thinkers too, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but they begin to unravel and unpack the issues properly. And I think that even with this shooting yesterday, I couldn't talk to anybody today. Let's say I spoke to 20 different people one-on-one. Nobody that I spoke to today, and they're all President Trump supporters, save one. They all told me, Paul, we don't buy anything that we've been told. Nothing. We think this is more nefarious. We think it's an inside job. We think that President Trump's life is in danger. And they make good points. And you kind of get very scared, because you realize that you as just a little person, what could you do about these things? But
we have to fight.
Well, yes, you can't give up. We have to. Well, I mean, people like yourself are the important people, because you actually have a platform where you interview people and you share information, you let people speak, and you speak, and we can educate people and inform. But it's almost like we have a government today that is insulated from 99% of the entire population and is doing whatever it wants. And
that'd be true. What you just said is true. I mean, I don't see any other way to look at it. I don't see any other way to look at it. I don't see it as that it's doing any public good. I don't see that the media is operating in good faith. I don't see that we are even walking towards anything that's sensible. And look, a part of me looks at it and goes, all right, well, we had the opportunity when President Trump got in. He could have literally wrecked the house. He could have, signed the Insurrection Act, brought the military in, got rid of the machines. He could have done a lot of different things, because we're in a perpetual state of war. Anyone that is seeing what's going on right now knows we're in a perpetual state of war, period. Right? And yet we're sitting here negotiating against ourselves, waiting for the clock to run. It makes no sense.
No. And the truth of the matter is, we are spending so much time focused on other countries and other issues, when we as a nation have so much strife and struggles within, that if we were to focus on ourselves and solidify and strengthen ourselves, we could get to a place where we're so self-sufficient that we really don't need any other country in this world. We really don't need to sell you our products. We could sustain ourselves internally. And I think fundamentally, so I think we have all kinds of misgivings with Trump. With any protest, we spend a lot of time eventually trying to analyze them, or second guess them, or support them, or whatever. I think fundamentally he's a good man. Good in the sense of, it's clear that he loves America, and he loves people, he loves his flag, he's proud of America. Except I don't think he's somebody who will work against America in any capacity.
I agree with you.
You agree?
I agree.
Yes. So the point though is, I think even if he felt he came into the second term that he knew what to do now after learning from the first term, I think the dark side realized that he's going to come all guns blazing. So they doubled down in their own way. And I think he's just, again, it comes back to he's like one man. He's one person, even if the president was a woman. He's just one person working against an entrenched cabal of bad people who have interests not in the United States necessarily, but all over the world. The United States is not, they don't love America. They love their pockets, they love their money, they love the taxpayer money, they love power, control, and they have interests elsewhere. So I'll tell you, what I do to admire about Trump in the beginning is when he said in like 2015, 2016, when he first started the campaign, and in 2015, and he said, in 2015, yeah, when he said about forming a third party, if he didn't do well in the primary, in my mind, I told myself, boy, if he did something like that, he could probably win, or even if he did not win, get close to it, and maybe. And I thought in his first term, he was going to whittle away at the House and the Senate in the sense of getting tossed out all of those rhinos and all of those Republicans who really are against the government and, well, against the nation, not in our best interest, and Democrats. But, he spent the first term just dealing with all of the issues, and there were a lot of issues from the Obama term. And then, boom, they dropped COVID on him. And that was a disaster.
Absolutely. 100%.
And so who could really, and to be running a re-election when they dropped a fake pandemic on you is a hell of a thing. I will often ask myself, which person, which human being could manage a re-election while you're trying to tell people, yes, vote for me, I've been successful, look, I've done this. But by the way, we are in the throes of a pandemic that we don't know what the hell we're doing. And everything is just a cluster F. So, but still vote for me. So he had a very difficult needle to thread, and he had all of these people subverting him. I mean, I could tell you, we would have meetings at HHS with Azar and Caputo and all of the directors, and we'd have Fauci there. And Fauci would be going on, like we got an email that Fauci is going on some talk shows the weekend coming. This is like in July of 2020. So we're in the height of COVID. So Azar and they wrote him and said, Dr. Fauci, some of the things you're talking about keeping the schools closed and keeping kids in masks. President Trump is on the campaign trail right now, the president, and he is advocating for opening schools and removal of the masks because the evidence shows that the masks don't work. So I was invited to those discussions with Fauci because I'm the scientist advising them. And I could tell you, there were meetings where Fauci and his team were on the other side of the television, the screens, because we were doing it by remote. And once we told Fauci that he would have to clear what he was going to discuss on CNN or NBC, MSNBC or whatever over the weekend, the talk shows he was going on a rounds. He was livid, and he would threaten us like insanely and his team that when we're done here, we're going to leak. They use the term, we're going to leak to the media that Trump is muzzling Dr. Fauci. And, that would back us up because, of course, you don't want the media, you don't want the American people to be told that. But first of all, it's not true. But that's the kind of hammer they held over Trump's head. And we were in an election year, a re-election year. So the White House was on pins and needles when you had to deal with people like Fauci and Birx and they who were leaking and lying in their leaks and threatening to leak more and threatening to leak other crazy things. So it was a very difficult time for Trump. And I don't know how he even did as well as he did, because it was just chaos. It was just chaos in Washington, and it's still chaos in Washington.
Well, I don't think it's ever not been chaos, but
no.
But let's. I think we have to start looking at, like how do we work the problem? How do we get people involved in this? Do you have any idea? Like we're looking at somebody trying to attack President Trump. We have people over here that are telling us that they're going to impeach him after this election. The Republican Party is in absolute turmoil. It's almost as if it's ceded power to these radical leftists. President Trump's doing the best he can to kind of get through it and tell the truth about things. And the people are sitting on the sidelines going, what do I do now? Because they don't trust it. You just said they don't trust anything. They don't trust anything. Nothing. They trust nothing. I mean, short of them actually bringing the military in and starting mass arrests and hangings from for all the people that have done horrible things to the American people, I think the people have had enough.
Yeah. The American people have had enough. You know?
So how do we fix it? How do we fix it? For all the people that are listening, how do we fix it?
Well, I mean, I think the most important thing is, first of all, using platforms like yours, number one. We need as many of them as possible to keep informing and educating and agitating the people to be informed and to share information. We need people to get involved, more people to stand up, not just you, not just me. We need to understand, as difficult as it is and repetitive as it seems, the ballot box. We have to keep going back to the ballot box, and we can't just focus on the federal level and the state level. We have to go lower and lower, and in all of the lower level elections, and we have to vote, and we have to vote the best optimal person in, who represents the values and the preferences of the public. And at times we have to go to court too. We have to use the courts.
Right.
And then when we do find the right person, we have to champion them and we have to unify and stand behind them. But I think America has to, I agree with the America First strategy. Means America needs to, I don't use the word turn inward, but America needs to focus on itself right now, because all of those other countries in the world, like India, China, Russia, Brazil, all of those big countries, they're not playing for second place. They all want to rule a century at some point. So we need to understand they're coming at us. So let me put it to you this way. While we're going about interfering, let me use the word interfere. While we're going about dealing with other world issues and other nations and whatever, these other countries they're not interested. They're not spending their money. They're not on that. They're not wasting their military on it. Nothing. Whilst we doing that to us. So that whilst we depleting ourselves, they strengthening themselves. And that's the
100%.
challenge. And then one day we wake up and realize, but wait, these last 20 years, we spent $20 trillion on our military. And they spent $20 trillion on fixing the infrastructure of their country, fixing their healthcare, fixing this, fixing that. And they spend far less on their military, and their military actually is as strategic and as potent as ours. That's another thing. The military in America has become like a behemoth. It's become like a monster. And it's almost like it's just people enriching themselves. Like, I don't think we're getting value for the money, and et cetera, et cetera. And so, of course, I am not an expert, right? So there are a lot of things I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, I'm just trying to figure things out too, like you, and like, but you probably more expert than me, but like general population people.
Yeah, general population of people, they just don't have a clue. And I talk to them every day, and they're just trying to figure out, where the next sandwich is going to come from, right? Let alone, how we're going to solve the problem in Washington.
But we got to keep President Trump safe.
Yeah,
I think
we got to keep him safe, but we also got to get people around him that are competent and know how to pull punches, right? They know how to, they know how to get rid of. The only way you actually solve this is to get rid of the rot. You have to cut it out. So somewhere along the line, we're going to have a Julius Caesar moment where someone comes in and just annihilates it. But 20 years of stolen elections, this is what you get. This is what the country looks like when you have elections that are stolen for as long as they've been stolen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, Doc, I tell you what, it was actually more rewarding having you on, because you got to talk about just how broken it is. I'm glad you found two people that were competent in the HHS. That makes me feel really good. That means that there was 3 competent people, including yourself, and they only employ like 60,000 people. So this is encouraging, right? Oh my gosh. Makes me want to throw up just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, The thing is, I think at the end of the day, though, we have to have faith in America. Like I still, like I write about it. I say America remains the last beacon of hope in this world. And the question is, though, that right now, though, she's taking on water, and we can't bail on her. We need to strengthen the ship of America, and maybe it's in our youth, the young people among us. Maybe in them have some good young people who are going to rise up and take the mantle and carry us into the future. Because right now the cohort of people we have in government they're just so
They're
incompetent.
educated. They're educated idiots.
Yes.
I mean that's really the big thing.
Yes.
We overvalue education and undervalue competency and common sense. And so you're left with just a bunch of idiots that think that they're really smart.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you fully.
All right, brother. Well, it was great to have you on. I'll have to have you on again. We'll talk more about.
Could you have me on as often as you want? I apologize, I was a little delayed, but I'll come on as often as you want, and I really appreciate the platform. And I would ask your viewers, not necessarily myself, but to support you, help you, because you bring us on and you make it happen. So you're the one who should be supported first. So please support this program and this platform. And I thank you for allowing.
Where can people follow you? How do people follow you?
Well, I have my Substack, the normal Substack, Alexander COVID News Substack. Yep. And some of us, given what we have done in the past, pushing back at the COVID and the lockdowns and all that, and even working for President Trump, people like myself, it's been hard because we've been punished career-wise because we worked for Trump term 1. And some of us now being punished in another way because we continue to stand against the vaccine, the mRNA vaccine. So it's been difficult. So we set up Vaccine Choice Canada, set up a small Give Send Go page for me. And if people want, $5 would help me a lot. If you want to support, please go to it. Paul Alexander Give Send Go. I think I'd shared with your crew the addresses, the URLs of Substack and everything. So if you showcase it, that'll be good.
We're actually sharing it. We're sharing it in other areas as well on all the channels.
Yes. But I really appreciate that. And, somebody like me will not step out of the fight, and, I'll be straight and say I'll help President Trump in any which way I can. And we do behind the scenes lots of stuff for him. So we'll continue. We can't give up. We can't give up on America. Because this is bigger than Trump. This is America, and we have a future that's coming that he won't be there. Maybe we could have a role in helping shape what the future political landscape will look like, and of good people who love the United States, love freedom, peace, etc. And thank you so much for having me, Sid. Thank you.
God bless you, brother.
Thank you.
HHS is a mess. How many others are a mess? Or are all of them a mess? And as we sit here and talk about who's a mess, how do we get done with the mess? How do we fix the mess? It's a mess. It's a mess that we can't fix the mess that is the mess. It blows my mind. All right, so let's talk about, if we can, this shooting. And I think that from my perspective, it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of outrage as a result of it. You get online, you see it, but people are just at that point where they go, okay, it's just more kabuki theater. And I do think that they were coming for President Trump. And President Trump, I'm trying to send this over to you guys right now. He had something to say. Might have to clean this up. See if I can send it to you. And when he said this, I was like, all right, that what he's saying is resonating with me. And I think it's resonating with me because he's right. But I also look at what they've been able to do to me and just how much they've put me in the crosshairs. And they have put me in the crosshairs pretty much across the board. Like, it's not, see if I can send this to you guys so you have it. President Trump was asked a simple question. And when he went to answer it, show prep. Boom. All right, I just sent it to you. They responded that people try to kill people that are doing good things. People try to hurt people that are doing good things, that try to accomplish things, that get things done. And I look back and I look at my entire life over the last 30 years. Let's go back 30 years. And everyone that, there's just been lots of times in my life where they've been like, okay, we need to take Joe out. And I would be like, what is going on? And it was always the same thing. And now I'm dealing with the same thing now, whether it be the race or there's a group of people. I mean, the Anti-Defamation League, which is a bunch of radical leftists, came out and told the Republican Party, you can't have him represent the party. I'm thinking to myself, why would the radical, I mean, if I'm going to screw it up, why not just let me screw it up? Oh, that's right, because they know that I'll fix it. It has nothing to do with screwing it up. It has to do with the fact that they want to interfere with the ability for there to be progress, or we can actually have a functioning party in the state of Colorado. My biggest problem is that the left and the right are now playing the same games. And when they do, you just have to just realize who you're looking at. It's like the Sharona Bishop deal. I'm looking at an evil woman, very evil, who thinks I care about getting sued. I don't. But it gets even worse because they're so fixated on the people that can fix it because they feel threatened. And if it gets to the place where it gets fixed, then these people are out of jobs and they're off the map. But here's a rep, Bonnie Watson Coleman. She had something to say. This is interesting. Go ahead and play it.
Because if we wanted to eliminate abuse and fraud, we'd eliminate the president of the United States from the office right now and the rest of the sycophants in his administration that are allowing him to do so many illegal things. So,
what illegal things? What illegal things is he doing? I mean, this woman is first of all, she can't even speak. Like, this is the woman that is in office. This is the best we have. No, they've been stealing elections all the way down, and the entire system is designed to put fraudulent people in positions of trust every day. They're either super excited, standing up there, beating a drum, and, oh, we got to protect this, protect that. Most of them are dumber than rocks. And you wonder why the left is trying to kill President Trump. Here's a Michigan Democrat Senate candidate, Abdul El-Sayed. Play it.
We need Democrats who have the courage to stand up to the power brokers in our own party, let alone Trump and his goons. We don't back down. We don't back down. We don't back down. With all due respect, if they go low, we don't go high. We take them to the mud and choke them out.
Take them to the mud and choke them out. So let me just tell you, this guy is a native of Southeast Michigan. He grew up in Detroit. And he's a first generation immigrant. So he wants to bring some of that, what I call dysfunction from the Middle East over here. His father was an Egyptian immigrant, came here to study engineering because we give everyone opportunities and they come here and then they basically shit all over the American people. And here, by the way, is Jimmy Kimmel. Here's a highlight of Jimmy Kimmel. And you're not going to believe this. Play it.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
It's just classless. It's classless. How do we coexist in the same country with this type of mentality? The blood is boiling of most Americans. It's boiling. And the more young people I interact with, it's not just older people. It's not just people over 30 or over 40. People have had enough. And they're ready to rip the Band-Aid off. They don't care what it costs them. It's already cost them so much. More importantly, it's cost them their children. And here's Fat Boy Pritzker. By the way, the Pritzker family is a crime family, if you didn't know. And he used the term Nazi when talking about a Trump's administration. Go ahead and play it.
Some of your critics may point to what you said in the State of the State last year when you compared the Trump administration to the rise of Nazis. What would you say to that?
Well, Manu, remember what I was talking about was the fact that a constitutional republic was torn apart in 53 days in Germany in the 1930s, and that we need to watch out for that in this country. That is what I was talking about. And we've seen it, by the way, that speech was given in February of 25. I think over the last year, much of what I said has been proven to be true, that the institutions of this democracy are being attacked by the Republicans and by Donald Trump.
Well, there you have it. We're now being called Nazis. Now, the SPLC came out and they decided they were going to just build a bunch of stuff that wasn't true, and that didn't do it. Now you have the ADL and you have other organizations that are calling everyone anti-Semites. Well, they basically attack and steal from the American people everything that made us great. And the average American, white, black, doesn't matter, brown, Asian, that makes no difference, has been left behind in this new kind of replacement theology that we are dealing with right now. And we can feel it and see it and touch it and smell it. We can see what's happening over in Europe. And we're supposed to just sit here and just take it. I'm just not sure that that's going to be something that's going to happen. And yet we know who the enemy is. We know exactly what their names are. We know what they do. We know what they've done to our people, to our country. And they act with impunity because they are given absolute immunity. If you don't get rid of immunity, you have no ability to patrol the people that say that they're there to help, when all they've done is create havoc and hurt the very people they say they represent. The time's come. The time has come. And sooner or later, I feel more convinced now than ever that if President Trump doesn't pull the levers that I think he's going to pull, we hope he pulls, then we are going to find ourselves in a very deep hole where it's going to adversely affect every part of our nation, especially our young people. All right, so let's pray it out. If you're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more, you can go check them all out. Give us a 5-star review. Give us a thumbs up if you're on Rumble on your way out. And I will see you guys tomorrow. We got lots of stuff to talk to you about tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a banger. But yeah, Mondays are never the bangers. Tuesdays are the bangers, but good bangers. Good stuff going on tomorrow. So let's pray it out. Father God, we sit here before you and we look for your guidance. We look for your discerning spirit to fall on top of us and to give us the ability to know what to do next. Father, we ask you for patience. We ask you for the ability to see through all the mud that makes it difficult to see to the bottom of the river. There seems to be just so much turmoil going on around our country. And we're fatigued. We're at that place where we're just tired. We're tired of fighting and we just want peace. So, Father, I just ask you to give us that peace and give us the ability to still have the desire and the fight in us to fight against all this evil. Help us to maintain ourselves and never become the very thing that we're fighting against as we fight against this evil. And Father, I just ask you that you help us just get to the finish line. Get to the finish line and take whatever this evil is that's in our communities, in our country, just take it out. So we ask these things, Father, humbly in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same station. Take care.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle.